Alright guys, today I'm going to be doing a short video showing you how to do a fuel pressure regulator install on a 2003 LB7 Duramax. I've already started by removing the air intake, so cone filter, intake, all that good stuff. The next thing we're going to do is use a breaker bar, go ahead and release the tension on the tensioner and take the belt off of the AC drive. When I get that done, I'll restart the video. Alright, just got the belt off of the AC. Now we're going to unbolt the AC and simply lay it over the motor. There's no reason to disconnect all the lines going to it. There are two little electrical connectors, as you can see here, that you need to unplug. It's that one there and this one back here. We're going to get that done and then we'll restart the video. Alright guys, as you can see, got the AC just laying over the motor. Like I said, you don't need to disconnect the lines. It just unbolts from right there. You can just lay it up across the motor. The next thing we're going to address is draining the coolant so we can get the upper radiator hose off so that we can get the thermostat housing off and get down to our destination. I don't know if I can see it from here, but down back in here is where you're going to be headed. Down back in that valley down there is where you're going to be headed to do this install. So once I get the coolant drained, we'll go from there. You only need to drain about a gallon or so. A gallon and a half, just so that the coolant is out of the thermostat housing and the upper radiator hose. So without further ado, we'll restart the video when we get that done. Alright guys, the easiest way to get the coolant out of these trucks that I have found is just take out the inner fender well. I don't know if this is the stock radiator for my truck, but as you can see, or maybe not see, mine doesn't have a petcock or whatever it is on the radiator. You can see it right there in the middle. So I have to unscrew that to take it out. That's why I take the inner fender well out. It's right there behind that line. Like I said, just for me, it's the easiest way to do it. Just take out the inner fender well. What we're going to do is drain about a gallon of that out so that the upper radiator hose is not filled with coolant. Other than that, I'll restart the video when that's done. Well, as you can see, it is a pretty messy son of a gun to drain all that out of there, especially when you drop the plug down on the bottom of the pan. That should be enough coolant to get to the thermostats so that they're not full of stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and get started up there. Just thought I'd show you guys that to be careful. It can be a messy son of a gun. It helps if you have a friend that can hold the funnel while you hold the plug, so that you can get it back in there to stop it, unless you plan on completely draining the radiator to do a complete coolant flush. I do recommend you do new thermostats when you do this, but it's not necessary. Yeah, restart the video and we move on to the next task. Alright, next task's going to be getting this upper radiator hose out of here, then manipulating the wiring harness out of our way. This wiring harness back here, this piece, and both these are going to come unconnected. We're going to get those out of our way so we can get back down in here. There you can see a better picture. Our regulator is just right there to the left of that fuel line. I'm going to get this radiator hose out of here and then I'll restart the video. We are also going to take out the turbo horn and this thermostat housing up front here, and that should be it. We should be able to get to it from there. I'll restart the video when I have most of this done. Alright guys, and we're back. As you can see, I'm missing a little bit of stuff up front since the last video. Taking apart this thermostat housing down here, I dropped a bolt and it went down behind this pulley here. So you don't need to do any of this unless you drop a bolt like I did. Other than that, you've got this whole wiring harness all laid across here. When you're taking that apart, you don't have to. I did my first pressure regulator without doing that, but from experience it makes it a lot easier. It's really simple to get undone. All you got to do is unplug this connector here. I believe these are for injectors, as well as this one back here, which is for injectors. This cable right here is for my rail pressure gauge. It's just made it detachable. You need to take apart both these connectors on top of the motor here and this one right here. They both just sit on top of the motor like this. Undo those. Then you have a sensor or a plug right here. You have your fuel pressure relief valve down here that needs to be unplugged. You also have 3 connectors back here that need unplugged. We'll take a closer look at those. You don't need to mark them, they only go back together one way. But you can see these 2 wires here need to be unplugged, this one and this one. And also this wire up here on top of the box back here. Other than that, now you can see this down here. This also needs to be unplugged. This is the fuel pressure regulator right here. You need to unplug that to get this wiring harness manipulated out of the way. Hop down real quick. Now what we're going to do is work on taking apart this turbo horn. There's 3 bolts that hold it on, and then we'll be able to get full access down to this regulator, and we'll put the new one in. I'll restart the video when I get around to that. Alright guys, a little update, just showing you what's going on now. As you can see down there, we can get to our fuel pressure regulator. It's still going to be a nightmare. Let's see, pop up in here. Just some of the stuff that I've done is taking off that block there, got it out of our way. Took off this here. It's just a banjo bolt that goes in this piece here and just connects right here. Just took that off. I might end up taking off this from the junction block just to give us some more room. Took off our hose here for the return or something. You don't have to take all this stuff off. I just do it to get more room at this FPR because it is a pain in the butt to get out. As much room as you can to get your hands on the bolts so you don't drop them, because if you drop them you ain't going to find them. The bolts are a T25 Torx bit. The smaller drive is easier to get in there, so you might want to invest in one of those. Other than that, I'm going to start the video when I get it out. There's 3 bolts in it, and that's all you got to do. Alright guys, got the old one out. Time to put the new one in. Like I said, just these 3 bolts over here. Here's the new one. Go ahead and show you where it goes. You can see it right back down in here. Goes right in that hole there. Oh, let's just see here. Yeah, something like that. Just trying to see if I can focus it to make sure there's no dirt in there. But, alright, let's get this thing put back together. Alright guys, a little bit of tip for the side and bottom bolts when you put them in. The regulator sits into the truck like this. If you're looking at the front of the motor, sits just like this. These bottom 2 bolts to the left and bottom are kind of a bitch to get in there. So what you can do is a little bit of electrical tape on the end of your socket just to hold the bolt, and then when you pull it off, make sure it's nice and tight on the socket, not the bolt though, just enough to hold the bolt. And then when you pull it off, the tape will rip off from the bolt, and you can pull it out, but it'll keep it from falling down in there so you don't lose your bolt in the bay. Slow tip. Alright guys, well, the new regulator's in. It's pretty much just reassembly from here on out. Just put it back together the way you took it apart. I'll be giving a couple little pointers here and there about how to get it all back together, a couple of little things that need to be done. Don't forget to refill your coolant. Hopefully you did new thermostats since they're right there. And other than that, best of luck to you guys. Yeah, before this ends, just a couple tips and we'll be done. Thanks for watching. Alright guys, took about 10 minutes to get back to this point. It's starting to look like a motor again. Got all the wiring reconnected, all that good stuff back there. All you gotta do now is put my intercooler pipe back on, change out my thermostats, put the coolant pipe back on, the upper radiator hose, put the belt, the fan, the shroud all back in, which you guys didn't need to take apart. Put my boost pressure, or my intake manifold pressure back in, and hook back up my air filter, and fill it up with coolant, and she's good to go. Alright guys, there you go. Got the fuel pressure regulator in. Before you guys fire it up, you want to prime the fuel bulb just so that there's fuel in the regulator before you start it. Otherwise it'll be firing dry and it'll mess up the regulator. Other than that, that's all there is to it. Thanks for watching.